Picture this, New Orleans. Just after World War I, the city is alive with jazz and celebration, but a shadow has fallen over its vibrant streets. Between May 1918 and October 1919, a terrifying figure known only as the Axeman brought the city to its knees. This wasn't your typical criminal. The Axeman's reign of terror was a chilling performance of calculated violence and psychological games that has puzzled historians and criminologists for over a century. So, who was this phantom, and what was his bizarre connection to jazz music? Let's dive into the chilling true story of the Axeman of New Orleans. The attacks began without warning. The victims were almost always Italian-American grocers, a detail that has fueled countless theories over the years. The method of murder was brutally consistent. The killer would use an axe or a chisel, often belonging to the victims themselves, which he'd find inside their homes. But here's where it gets even stranger. The Axeman was not a burglar. He rarely stole anything of value. His entry method was meticulous and unnervingly quiet. Instead of breaking a lock or smashing a window, he would carefully chisel out a panel from the back door. It's just large enough to slip through undetected. He was a ghost, a silent predator moving through the homes of his unsuspecting victims while they slept. The sheer precision of his entry, combined with the savage violence that followed, painted a picture of a killer who was both methodical and ferociously unhinged. The city was gripped by fear. People reinforced their doors, kept watch at night, and whispered about the demons stalking their neighborhoods. The police were baffled, with no clear motive and very few clues to go on. Then, in March of 1919, the terror escalated from physical violence to direct psychological warfare. The Axeman did something that cemented his place in the annals of crime history. He wrote a letter, addressed to the esteemed mortal. The letter was published in the local newspapers. In it, the author claimed to be a demon, a spirit from the hottest hell. He taunted the police, calling them foolish and bragging that he was invisible, able to pass through the thickest walls as easily as the morning mist. The letter was filled with grandiose, almost theatrical language, claiming responsibility for the murders and promising more to come. But it was the letter's ending that sent a truly bizarre shockwave through the city. The Axeman announced his next attack would take place on the night of Tuesday, March 19th. However, he offered a strange, almost whimsical ultimatum. He declared his love for jazz music, stating he was a great friend of jazz. He promised that he would spare anyone in a home where a jazz band was playing at full blast. Imagine the scene. City held hostage by a killer, with the only supposed protection being the sound of music. On the night of March 19th, 1919, New Orleans erupted in a cacophony of sound. Every dance hall, every club, and every home with a record player was filled to the brim, blaring jazz into the night sky. Professional bands played for hours, and amateur musicians joined in, creating a citywide musical vigil against a self-proclaimed demon. It was a surreal party born out of sheer terror. Whether it was the music or just coincidence, we'll never know. But no one was murdered that night. The city collectively held its breath and, for one night, drowned out its fear with the very music that defined its soul. This event, the night the Axeman demanded jazz, has become the most iconic and bewildering chapter in this dark story. After that infamous night, the Axeman's reign of terror began to wane. There was one final attack where the victims miraculously survived to describe their assailant. But after that incident in October 1919, the attacks stopped just as suddenly as they had begun. The Axeman of New Orleans vanished forever, leaving behind a legacy of fear and a mystery that endures to this day. Who was he? The theories are endless. Some believe he was a serial killer with a unique fixation on music and a grudge against the Italian-American community. Others suggest he was a mob hitman, using the Axeman persona as a cover for organized crime assassinations, which would explain why the targets were so specific and why nothing was ever stolen. One popular suspect was a man named Joseph Momfer, a criminal who was shot and killed by the widow of the Axeman's last victim, though the connection was never definitively proven. Despite decades of investigation and speculation, the identity of the Axeman remains one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. He was a phantom who terrorized a city, commanded it to play music for him, then disappeared back into the shadows, leaving only a chilling legend in his wake. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating and unsettling as I did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into history's most compelling mysteries. See you next time.